back at NatCon. I'm here with Carol Swain, who did a phenomenal video for PragerU called The Inconvenient Truth of the Democratic Party. You also have a new book coming out. What's the title of the book?
It's already out. It's Black Eye for America, How Critical Race Theory is Burning Down the House. And it was written for the American people, and it explains what critical race theory is, where it came from, how it manifests itself, and how it runs counter to Christianity, our civil rights laws, our Constitution. And best of all, it has 2 chapters on how to fight back. It has a glossary, because you know they keep changing the terms, right?
The words don't mean what they meant yesterday.
Well, the book was current 2 months ago in the terms, but we know that every day they come up with new stuff, right? And racism doesn't mean what racism has always meant, and being a white supremacist doesn't mean what that meant, 5 years ago. You're a white supremacist. I know that you really aren't.
No offense.
And I'm a black white supremacist, so what can we say?
My good friend Larry Elder is also a black white supremacist. I know an awful lot of my friend David Webb's a black white supremacist. There's a lot of them.
It's like when...
Did you ever think that was going to happen to you?
Well, the Southern poverty, I'm always ahead of myself. Yeah. I'm ahead of everyone else. So in 2009, the Southern Poverty Law Center, because I had criticized them for their slide into hate.
Yeah. I call them the Southern Poverty Hate Center, basically.
Well, so I sort of said that, and mission creep. I accused them of having mission creep, and maybe 3 months later, I pick up my newspaper in Nashville, and there's a front page article that I'm an apologist for white supremacy. This was in 2009. Most people didn't know who I was. And so all over, black media, people were discussing me, and there was nothing I could do about it until James Taranto at the Wall Street Journal did a 2,000-word article defending me, in defense of Carol Swain. But I was the first black American to be called a white supremacist sympathizer, I believe.
You are in good company because they've put me on one of their lists too. So we're both on.
Well, you wear it as a badge of honor.
Yeah, it is a badge of honor.
Being a black white supremacist, I wear that proudly because that means that I recognize the civil rights of all people, including white people who are also protected by civil rights laws.
All right, so let's do some 101 stuff here because you're an academic at heart. Let's do some basic definitions. What is critical race theory? My audience knows it, but give me something that we can clip, put on Twitter, and every time somebody says, you guys don't know what critical race theory is, we can put it out there.
I would say that it is a white supremacist theory that divides Americans between oppressed and oppressors. And the people that put it out there, it is white supremacy because it says that white people control the fate of every other human being. Like, I have no agency as a black person because you, the white person, has power over me. Only you can liberate me. I can't even be racist. Only white people can be racist because only white people have the obligation to be anti-racist. So it's a racist theory from the political left that comes from the rich tradition of racism from the Democrats.
And you showed up to this interview on time, which I know is part of the theory, right? If you show up on time and you work hard, you're a white supremacist.
Oh, I am white.
Yeah. You were early, actually, so I don't know what to make of this. Are you shocked? I mean, since you've been ahead of this for a while, are you shocked how pervasive it's become in society right now, or did you sort of see that this was going to happen?
I knew that the cultural Marxism was becoming a danger in 2012. And this was after, this was during President Obama's second term. And so he was the one that really energized it. And for many Americans, many parents, after George Floyd's death and after the riots and corporations started pouring money into diversity, equity, inclusion, and CRT, that's when they became aware of what was being taught in the classroom. So they are latecomers. This has been going on for a long time, and my greatest regret is during the time I was teaching at Princeton, I was not paying enough attention to what was taking place around me. I was a congressional scholar. I was very much focused on Congress and what was taking place on the national scene, but I wasn't paying attention to all those seminars and speakers about CRT and postmodernism, not realizing how it was going to impact our lives today. And I wish I had paid more attention. But after President Obama was elected and started his second term, that's when I started to really dig into Marxism, cultural Marxism in particular.
Yeah.
And CRT is one of many different Marxist theories because, you have critical queer theory, critical feminist theory, critical gender theory, and it's all impacting our society. But we're focused on CRT because it's taking all the air out of the room.
I almost hate to ask you this question because I've asked it to a lot of my black conservative friends, but like just on a personal note, when you come to these conservative conferences and they say all the bad stuff about you, not the conservatives, I mean, all the lefties say, oh, you're a sellout and all the nonsense. Just on a personal note, how do you deal with that nonsense? Because I think a lot of people in their own personal lives are worried about it.
Let me tell you this. When I was at Princeton, I was a Democrat. And I wrote a book called Black Faces, Black Interests, Representation of African Americans in Congress. And it argued that political party was more important than the race of the representative. As long as blacks held the views they did, they'd best be represented by Democrats. Consequently, it didn't make sense to draw majority black districts because majority black districts elected more Republicans. That got me labeled as a conservative. I never got invited to the Clinton White House, and they started calling me a sellout back then. And back then, I had not had my Christian conversion experience. I thought I was a good Democrat. They totally rejected me, and I found that progressive faculty members, including a well-known conservative who's at Harvard now, that was at Princeton, who saw herself as the champion of black people, she actually worked against my appointment because she said I was not the right kind of black person for Princeton. And it was like, because I had come, from poverty, I was a high school dropout, 1 of 12, married at 16, GED, community college, before I went on to get 4 other college and university degrees. So I had a non-traditional background. My story embodies the American dream. It's about possibilities. And they did not like that.
Yeah.
And I was a Democrat. I was rejected.
Were you shocked? Were you shocked?
Yes, I was. I was rejected by the progressives, but embraced by the conservatives.
And it turns out they're not a bunch of crazy racists, huh?
No, they're...
Have you encountered any racism here? Have they been shouting you down? Or?
Well, let me tell you something that my undergraduate degree, the professor who became, my mentor and my friend and all of this stuff like that, he was a Republican. But when I started to college, the black students who always meet other black students to warn them about who the racist professors are, they told me he was a racist professor, but I had this weird personality. Like if someone tells me not to do something, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And so I signed up for that professor's class, or the one that was supposed to be racist. And I made a B+ in the first class. I took probably 3 or 4 other classes with him. I always made an A. And he was the first person to tell me, you're really a Republican. Back then, that was like dirty words.
Nobody, I was going to say, nobody wants to hear that at the beginning of the red pill process because everyone gets that moment. You're kind of a conservative or something.
But it was 2009 before I officially became a Republican. But I started becoming conservative after my Christian conversion experience in 2000. And I was in my 40s. And I can tell people, wherever you are on life's journey, I was on a journey, searching, trying to figure out my place in the world because I've never really fit until now.
Here we are.
I know.
Isn't it cool?
It is, and
I feel the same way.
But I have so many years on you. Like I fully accept myself, and so like I don't get attacked all the time. Like the left may attack me, but I'm accustomed to that. I'm telling you that I feel the love when I go into black communities. I feel the love from black youth. I am not a person that's being harassed or rejected by black people. I may be rejected by black elites, but they've always treated me that way. So, I don't care about them. I care about the American people, and I don't identify as black. I don't identify as white either. I identify as Christian. I identify as conservative. Republican is further down, and black is further down because God created one race, the human race. I believe that we're all brothers and sisters, whether you're Jewish or you're a Christian or a Muslim or whatever you are, I believe there's one divinely human race in the image of God. And so, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to say whatever I want to say. I don't censor myself, and I encourage everyone else not to do so.
I've
as
never
well.
ended an interview with a high five, but I want to give you a high five.
All right.
And we're gonna, I'm going to demand that you sit down for a proper interview. We're going to get you in studio for a full hour long because we barely did anything here.
Sounds
All right,
good.
Carol Swain.
Thank you.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.